Let's take a walk together. A walk through a society that is, well, it's spotless. It's disturbingly quiet, and it's built on something deeply sinister. We're going to see this world through the eyes of someone who's trapped inside it, where every single step is a calculation, and the life she once knew feels like a distant dream.
And right away, we're hit with this incredibly powerful idea from Aunt Lydia. This isn't just about borders or walls. It's about a prison you carry inside your own head. With this one sentence, Gilead makes its goal terrifyingly clear: total control, not just of your body, but of your mind.
So, our walk begins. And at first glance, the streets look perfect, don't they? Almost like a museum piece, a model town. But as we're about to see, this kind of perfection is really just a mask for something horribly wrong.
I mean, just think about that for a second. The emptiness of it all. The very heart of Gilead is so controlled that it's sterile. It feels frozen. There are no kids playing, there's no noise, no life. And this creepy silence is a world away from the brutal war that's supposedly raging on the Republic's borders. This is the sound of absolute control. As you walk down these streets, you realize society is color-coded. You know everyone's function just by looking at them. The handmaids are in red, the color of fertility. The Marthas are in this dull green for household service. And the econaut wives in stripes have to juggle all the roles because their husbands aren't high-ranking. It's like a living, breathing diagram of a social order that leaves no room for change.
And of course, a walk like this triggers memories. Memories of being on these exact same streets with her husband Luke a lifetime ago. A time when they could just plan things, make choices. That kind of freedom feels so distant now, it's almost imaginary, weightless. And that tension between the world that was and the world that is where our narrator lives every single moment.
Now, this brings us to the core of Gilead's twisted logic. How do you convince people to accept this? Well, you completely redefine what freedom even means. You turn it into an argument for control. Before we can get to Gilead's freedom, we have to remember the world before. The narrator recalls that constant low-grade fear women used to live with. You know, the unspoken rules. Don't go running after dark. Clutch your keys like a weapon. This was the so-called anarchy that Gilead claims it came to fix.
And here it is, the deal. This is the trade-off, laid out plain and simple. On the left, you've got freedom too, the freedom of the past, the freedom to choose your clothes, your job, your life. On the right, you have Gilead's offer, freedom from being harassed, from being catcalled, from being touched. The regime sells this as an upgrade, a form of protection. But the price is, well, the price is everything.
And this is Aunt Lydia's chilling sales pitch. She frames oppression as a gift. See? We took away your freedom to do things, but in return, we gave you freedom from bad things happening. It's a brilliant and terrifying piece of propaganda designed to make you complicit in your own cage.
Okay, so as we keep walking, a few encounters happen that force our narrator to confront her new reality and to see just how much she herself has already changed. Every person she meets is like a mirror, reflecting a world she's trying desperately not to forget.
Even something as mundane as grocery shopping becomes a tool of control. Remember, women aren't allowed to read, so the shops don't have names anymore. They have pictures. Lilies for clothes, a cow for milk, a side of beef for the butcher. Why? Because words, names, they're a temptation. This erases history, it erases complexity, and replaces it all with a simple, state-approved picture book reality. And then she sees one, a pregnant handmaid, Janine. In a society obsessed with fertility, a pregnant woman isn't just a person, she's a magic presence. She's a walking, talking symbol of success. She's proof that the system works. To the other handmaids, she's a flag on a hilltop, a source of hope, but also of a burning, bitter envy. But the most jarring encounter? A group of Japanese tourists. It's like two worlds colliding on the same sidewalk. On one side, women dressed exactly as our narrator once did, makeup, heels, skirts showing their legs. On the other, the handmaids, covered from head to toe. And what's truly shocking is the narrator's gut reaction. She sees the tourists as blatant, almost naked, and repulsive. It's a terrifying sign of how deeply Gilead's brainwashing has already seeped in. And then the tour guide asks the question. The one question you cannot possibly answer. Are you happy? Just imagine that.
In a place where one wrong word, one wrong look can get you killed. What do you say? The air is just thick with tension. There's only one answer you can give. A quiet lie, spoken to survive. And it perfectly captures that massive canyon between her inner world, filled with rage and memory and grief, and the docile, compliant face she has to wear every single day.
And now, the walk takes its darkest turn. We arrive at the place where the regime stops using propaganda and starts using raw, brutal power. This is where they show everyone the price of disobedience. We've reached the wall.
Listen to the language here. It's so detached, so dehumanizing. She's not seeing men. She's seeing objects, heads like sacks of flour, zeros. This is a coping mechanism, right? A psychological shield she has to put up to look at pure horror and not let it shatter her.
But you can't keep that shield up forever. One little detail always breaks through. A smear of blood seeping through one of the white bags over their heads. And her description, it's like a child's idea of a smile. A grotesque, awful image that suddenly makes it all viscerally real. These aren't zeros. They were people.
So who were these men? They're wearing the white coats of doctors. The placards around their necks show a fetus. They were executed for performing abortions. But here's the key, and this is truly twisted. Their crime is retroactive. They're being punished today for things they did when it was perfectly legal. Gilead doesn't just control the present, it reaches back in time to rewrite the past.
And this leads us to the final and maybe the most disturbing lesson of this entire walk. It's not the horror itself that's the point. It's our incredible and terrifying human ability to get used to it.
To survive, she has to practice this brutal kind of mental discipline. She tells herself she must not feel. She looks at the world as just a collection of things, the red of the tulips, the red of the blood on the wall, and she forces herself not to connect them, not to let them have meaning. It's a full-time job, just trying to keep reality and emotion separate.
And there it is, the final word, again from Aunt Lydia. The ultimate weapon of control isn't a gun or an electric prod. It's normalization. She's promising them that all of this, the executions, the ceremonies, the total loss of self, will one day feel normal. Because ordinary isn't a fixed thing. It's just whatever you're used to.
And that's the question this walk leaves us with, isn't it? It's a warning about that slow, quiet process of adaptation. About how human beings can learn to accept circumstances that once would have seemed absolutely monstrous. The real question isn't just what is happening around us, it's what are we allowing ourselves to get used to?